and she still tells me now, a month later, she says, I remember when you were sitting there telling me how alone you felt. I felt alone, man. I felt like I was fighting this whole battle by myself, and felt like I had no one that I could reach out to, and I had, exhausted all my friendships, my relationships. Everything was just, I stepped away from.
Welcome to the Resilience Project Podcast with your host, leading the men's movement, Abdul Rabarbi.
Welcome to season 2 of the Resilience Project Podcast. This isn't your average conversation today. This is raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest from the top of the pinnacle of the mountain. Today, we're not just shaking the boat, we're flipping it over on its backside. Our guest today, Ezra. Ezra has walked through the darkest moments in his life, meaning that he has walked the darkest valleys, which most men fear to face. Mental health, PTSD, traumatic losses, friends gone, taken by the weight that they carried in silence. But truly, honestly, this isn't going to be a story of defeat. It's a story of victory. It's a story of transformation, of courage. A story of reclaiming resilience, power in the face of overwhelming pain. Ezra will take us into his story, very deep into his journey, the brokenness, the moment he thought that his life was all over, and how he turned his pain into purpose to rebuild his life with resilience, a life worth fighting for. So for those who are listening, for those who are tuning in today, I have a message for you. If you've ever felt like that your life is at the rock bottom today, or at any point in your life, this episode is for you. You need to tune in. You need to buckle up. I mean, really buckle up hard on now. Brace yourself, because what you're about to hear might and could change your life forever. Now, we're just about to bring in Ezra onto the call. Ezra, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm grateful that you're joining us on the Resilience Project podcast to share your story. And welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Abdul, brother. Thank you for having me on here, man. This is awesome. I'm doing great. I'm so excited and just keen to jump on and very blessed to be on here with you, man. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, it's a privilege. It's an honor. The story that you have to share with us tonight, I'm sure there are many men out there, struggling men out there, who are going to find so much insight and value from your story. As I was mentioning earlier, Ezra, is that this is a story of empowerment in victory after your personal battles. And before we actually dig into the details, before you begin to share share your story, would you briefly also introduce a little bit more about yourself, share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then hopefully we can start getting that kick started for you.
Yeah, beautiful, bro. Sounds good. So I live on the Gold Coast at the moment. Been here for about 5 years, and was in Melbourne before then. Melbourne from kind of 14 years old until I was early 20s.
Yep.
And originally from New Zealand, but yeah, lived in the Middle East, lived all over New Zealand. I've always moved around, man. Like, never really lived anywhere for longer than 2 years. But yeah, Gold Coast is home at the moment.
Nice. And Ezra, let's start. Let's start with your background. What was life like before these challenges began to occur, prevail? Maybe perhaps from childhood.
Yeah, so to be honest, I've always struggled with the challenges of mental health since being a child. Like
Mm,
growing up in New Zealand, I had a abusive stepfather, physically, verbally. I didn't really have a relationship with him for the time that he was there for 17 years. But he was a drug addict and alcoholic, all the things as well. So he wasn't really present for me. He was on his own journey, which I get now. So yeah, from a young age, experiencing that, as well as not meeting my father, my real dad, until I was about 8 years old. I didn't have a relationship with him either, so that caused a lot of confusion as a kid as to um, why my dad didn't want to be there for me. Why he wasn't there, um, why I wasn't enough. I used to ask myself all the time, from a young age, man, like some of my youngest memories are just, why am I not good enough? Looking at myself in the mirror, is it because I'm ugly? Is it because I'm, why does my dad not want to be there for me? So that really fucked me up as a kid. Excuse my language.
it's okay.
But that was one thing that really fucked me up. I've always had a loving mother. I'm so blessed for my mum. She's my best friend. I'm so grateful for her. So that's one thing. She's been my rock through it all. That's one thing that's really kept me going. And along with my mum, I was involved in my dad's family quite a lot when I lived in New Zealand. So they're a Pacific Island family. My dad's half Samoan, half Irish. So big family and a lot of love. A lot of love. I experienced a lot of love from them, especially being the little, blonde white boy when I was a kid. They loved me. They took me in, and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My mama, rest in peace. She was my angel, man. She is my angel, and yeah, she's my little Samoan grandma. So yeah, growing up in that environment
Was
was, I
tough.
think, something that, yeah, tough.
Was tough.
Yeah.
Tough. We're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna fast forward to today, maybe 30, 40 years, or many years from that point.
Yep.
I know that you're on a mission, you're on a vision. I want you to share with the audience what that vision is and what that mission is before we actually go back in time again, so the audience
Cool.
can understand and say, basically, from you've gone through this that we're gonna go back into, but how basically you've transformed, or you are in the transition of achieving greater victorious outcomes. Share just a little bit briefly about that as well.
Awesome. So yeah, my mission at the moment is just to help. I want to help people. My name Ezra actually means God's helper.
Mm,
So there's it's always been in the forefront of my mind that that's what I've wanted to do, but I wasn't helping myself. So now that I'm helping myself, I'm 30 days sober, 31 days sober, as of today, off the ice and drugs and alcohol and everything. So I'm really looking to help any men struggling with addiction and any men struggling with mental health, PTSD, depression, anxiety, because it's all things that I've had to overcome in
mm,
my adult life, and I just know that it's only a couple steps away. When you're in that position, I know how much you can feel like you're drowning, but I want to just spread awareness and tips and help people understand that it can literally be it can happen tomorrow. It can, it just have to change one thing, change little things day by day, and you will get there.
Amazing, amazing, and that's a massive transition from where you began from childhood. You grew up with no father. Correct me if I am wrong. That you didn't really have a role model father. Would that be correct? Like father wasn't around.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
100%. I had a stepfather, but he wasn't a role model, and yeah, I was scared of him my whole life. So yeah, he wasn't someone that I could count on two hands how many proper conversations I had with him that in 17 years that wasn't him fucking screaming at me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and how old were you when this began? Like, roughly, it would have been a young age.
Um, yeah, fuck. Which he got together with my mum when I was 3. So
Mm,
my dad left, or my mum left my dad, or he just didn't want a kid. So he left when I was 10 months old, and yeah, didn't reappear until I was 8. And then my stepdad came on the scene when I was 3, and probably one of the big things for me, my youngest memory. I don't know how old I was. I think it was, I might have been 4 or 5.
mm,
My youngest memory is of being dragged out of bed because I was crying with a sore tooth, and yeah, being dragged down the hallway by him, by the arm, and then put in the sink. And that penicillin, that medicine, that pink medicine, that tastes really, really fucking bad. You used to have it as a kid. And I was
yes,
just
yes,
crying and screaming and didn't want it. And he was just fucking shoving a spoon in my mouth, like, fucking eat it. Like,
yeah.
and then dragged me back up to my room and chucked me in my bed. So from a really young age, man, is when it all started, really.
Wow. Um, can I ask you? Can I ask you? Where did that lead to? Like from these traumatic events, where did
Um,
that lead to? Like
Acting up at school, I was a little shit, man. I think I went to 8 schools or something over my schooling time, as well as moving around everywhere. But acting up at school was massive. I was the class clown, or I was, I didn't respect authority because I don't know why, but I just, yeah, I had no will to want to do anything because I was just always upset. So I just,
was the frustration? Do you think it was frustration, seeking compassion? Or did you think it's related to any of these areas?
seeking validation, definitely,
Mm,
because I think I didn't get that from my stepdad, and I didn't get that from my dad. So I think I was, yeah, going out trying to be the class clown, trying to be the funny guy, the tough guy. I became, yeah, pretty violent, and yeah, it led on a pretty fucking destructive, self-destructive path. Not wanting to be at home for weeks at a time, not wanting to, not wanting to stay. My mum and stepdad both work night shifts, so
mm.
that cycle. So the nights that I'd have to be at home alone with him, those were the nights that I was terrified of, that I was, yeah, really scared of. So I'd, try my best to be out of the house as much as I could from a young age.
Being out of the house, you felt like, yeah, you were looking for validation. Are there any, if I may ask you, Ezra, can you share how those moments affected you emotionally, mentally, and even maybe physically or in any other way?
Yeah, so they definitely affected me, mentally and emotionally. I had no self-worth my whole life, pretty much until I was a young adult, is when I really started to love myself. I just, yeah, I saw no value in me and didn't think I had anything to offer. I thought that's why, I was unlovable. Thought I was ugly. I used to look at myself, like I said, I used to look at myself in the mirror and in tears, and I thought I was ugly, like all sorts of stupid shit. But when you're a kid, you're trying to figure out, in your head why this is all going on, and I just couldn't figure it out. So it really fucked me up, man. Like,
Mm.
and then because my stepdad was so angry, I ended up turning into him in the way I dealt with things, and I turned into the person that I didn't want to be the most, and
Mm.
I became angry and violent, and that affected a lot of areas of my life too. That's another thing we'll talk about.
Yeah, 100%. And do you think turning towards these things was a coping mechanism for you? You're trying to cope with your pain and struggles. You're seeking, looking for something.
Yeah, yeah. So I used to, when I was at home, I was always on the computer playing. I used to play a game on the computer, RuneScape.
Yeah.
I delved headfirst into that shit, man. Hours, hours, and hours and hours. That's all I'd do when I was at home, because it kept me out of trouble, and it kept me focused on something else. That was an escape for me. I think that's why, I could spend so many hours on that, because I was just not dealing with it, not dealing with reality.
Mm.
So that was at a young age, and then my uncle introduced me to a bong, and I smoked my first cone when I was about, I think it was 11 or 12. Yeah, 11 or 12. I smoked my first cone, and then I realized, oh shit, weed makes me feel awesome.
Mm.
That's awesome. So I just started smoking weed, and then I'd get the bash for smoking the weed and come home stoned, and then I get smacked up, and then got arrested, I think, when I was 12, and for shoplifting, and had weed on me and all sorts of shit. So yeah, that didn't last long. I couldn't stay getting stoned all the time in the house with my stepdad. So that was in New Zealand, and then I stopped smoking the weed after probably a year, and,
Mm.
and went back to being quite just depressed, and back on my video games and whatever else, until I moved to Melbourne. And when I moved to Melbourne, I was 14, and that's when things really
Really,
started getting out of control.
really hitting hard.
Yeah, yeah, hit
Yeah.
hard, and I just, I created a friendship group, a circle of friends that was not desirable, and
Mm.
I'm grateful for my friends back then, because they helped me escape the way that I was feeling. But that was just when the lifestyle of crime kind of started, 14, 15.
Mm. Yeah, you see, these struggles, when many struggling men are faced with life adversities, or even younger men or teenagers even who are growing up to become men, we often look towards a coping mechanism. As you were saying, weed. Why? Because you're trying to numb the pain. You're trying to find a sense of belonging, and I think that's where, or to the reason why you were going towards such things like that. Um, Only to find out, though, is that it was only temporary, right? I mean, temporary numbing the pain, temporary maybe friendships, uh, you know, but every time you would go towards those external factors, to numb the pain as a coping mechanism. It's because it's an external factor we're looking for. It's almost like wearing a mask, right? And when the
Yes.
numb of the pain becomes dissolved from the body, the adversity becomes stronger. the pain becomes stronger, and then you need to strengthen or look for other ways to, as a coping mechanism. Would I be on point? Coming from you, speaking from experience from yourself, would that be spot on? The reason why I ask this question, because often I would say when I'm speaking to clients is that, when we are dealing with life toughest adversities, the biggest mistake is that when we are seeking a solution or a coping mechanism from the external environmental factors, whether it's alcohol, drugs, weed, maybe gangs, or having certain types of friends, maybe a new gadget, new fashion. It may feel good, okay, but it's only temporary, short temporary of time. Like buying a new phone, right? It feels exciting, new features, new functions. It feels different, but then eventually it becomes normal. You actually forget about the hype, right? So, and then what happens? You're back to your original state. And the reason why we feel like that is because we have not dealt with the real issue, the issue from the inside. It's the internal pain that we are not dealing with. We are just masking the problems,
Yes.
with coping mechanisms.
Our root cause. You need to come down to and figure out your root cause. What's causing all the shit? And it's something that's easily forgotten when we're constantly masking our shit.
Absolutely. And I sense as well, this traumatic journey, it led to other dark valleys, dark alleys, down the line as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. That was, what I've shared so far was kind of just the beginning and just the catalyst for 10 years of fucking struggle.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years of struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did it lead?
Yeah. The last.
Where did these struggles lead to?
Drug addiction, constant failing relationships, homelessness, losing my house, losing my car, my driver's license. Very, very lucky. Very lucky that
you were also homeless.
Yeah. So I was actually homeless for the last 12 months. I was couch surfing for a little bit, and then you kind of end up running out of options when you're doing that. So I started living out of my car and apartment hopping, and my drug addiction just got worse and worse, and I was losing myself more and more. So, then I ended up losing my car, and then I was completely homeless. I had a disgusting ice and gambling addiction. So I'd spend most of my nights when I didn't have a place just at the pokies or at the casino all night. And because you can stay at the pokies till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'd just be there for most of the night when I was homeless, and then when they'd close, you just go sleep somewhere out and find somewhere and surfer's paradise or something, which you can just sit down and have a snooze for a bit, and then you're back to it, or just don't sleep, because I was always on the ice, So yeah, that was a very recent. I've only been I've only had a roof over my head for the last couple months. I was grateful to live with a friend for a couple months, but that was, the environment was still drug fueled, so I ended up having to get myself out of there, and that's when I landed on my mum's doorstep and been here for the last month.
What was it like, just for our viewers? Because many struggle, may end up homeless, and some are probably on the edge, just around that corner, to end up homeless. What were the challenges? What did it feel like for you personally, for yourself, when you were homeless?
Oh, so much so much guilt and shame that I was covering. So much, man. Like I felt embarrassed. I felt not worthy. I felt like that was my life. I was just like, well, fuck it. You've fucked everything up in your life. That every opportunity that ever came, any good thing that you could have had, you fucked it. And I almost caved and yeah was very depressed, very anxious. Didn't want to talk to anyone because I didn't feel worthy enough to even have a conversation with someone. Um, Suicidal, those thoughts were definitely thoughts that were crossing my mind as time went on, and I just couldn't see a way out of it of the situation that I put myself in, and yeah, it was just really really hard to be, because I've been at the top and I've been at the bottom, and when you're at the bottom and you don't understand the feelings that you feel when you don't have your needs met, just your basic needs that everyone probably takes for granted, man. Like being fed every day, having a roof over your head, shelter, shelter and food are two things that most people in Australia are lucky enough to have. But me being a New Zealand citizen, I don't get Centrelink, I don't get anything like that. So when I was really alone and really fucked, like I was stealing from shops. Being a 27-year-old guy, fucking running through Coles and Woolies, having to steal food. Like I hadn't had to do that since I was 16, 17. And so you just feel shameful, man. It's just like, but what do? You have to survive. So
Yeah, and I bet the shame was causing you also not to reach out to those who could help or potentially, help. Like it just because of that shame, because as men, we have this natural feeling of guilt, shame. We're supposed to be the protectors, the providers, the ones who are strong, the ones who are not supposed to be sharing their pain, their guilt, and so on and so forth. That would have had basically contributed to the reason to why you never reached out from the beginning before, ending up at or did you say at your mother's front doorstep, I believe.
100%. Yeah, when I say front doorstep, she lives in a studio apartment, and yeah, I had a broken phone at the time, so she lives in an apartment, and she wasn't home, and I didn't have a phone when I rocked up here. I was in a very bad way. I was in tears. I was
Mm,
thinking really bad things, climbing up the balconies, and then I was like, fuck. But if I do that, and then I jump off,
mm,
Mum will see me. Mum will see me. It's at her building. I just had some really fucking dark thoughts going through my head at the time. Um, but I was just asking people to borrow their phone. Can I use your
mm,
phone? Can I use your
mm.
phone? As
Yes.
they were coming through the door, and it kept ringing through to voicemail, and I was just, I think it took 3 or 4 phone calls, and when she answered, I just fucking burst into tears, man, and I just said, fucking,
Wow.
I just said, I'm at the
Wha-
front door. Like, yeah.
was that a relief for you the moment she picked up the phone and said, "Look, I'm just outside.
Yeah, I think
Thanks
it
for
was.
looking." Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah, yeah. When
courage.
she,
It's a lot
yeah, I
of
felt,
it's a lot of courage, man. It's a lot of courage, and after going through all of that, for you to make the decision to reach out, or was probably the moment when the change in your life began to go through many transitions from that point. How did you feel? How did you feel? The moment your mother answered the call, and like what was going through your head? How were you feeling? What was going through your head at that point?
man, she still tells me now, a month later, she says, I remember when you were sitting there telling me how alone you felt. I felt alone, man. I felt like I was fighting this whole battle by myself, and felt like I had no one that I could reach out to, and I had exhausted all my friendships, my relationships. Everything was just, I stepped away from from a lot of my relationships to stop allowing myself to fuel my drug habit. So I kind of excluded myself, knowing that I was going to be broke and fucked. It's just so that I would get off the ice, because it was a process. It wasn't just that one day that I flicked the switch and wanted to change. It was actually a lead up months of me knowing that I wasn't where I wanted to be, but being completely fucking stuck. Not having I was homeless, so I was living and staying and hanging out with people were that were on ice, because that was the frequency that I was on. That was the frequency that I was giving out. So all that I was getting back was people on ice, really, and that's where I felt comfortable. So it was so hard for me
It
to
would have been.
leave that that lifestyle, because again, going back to guilt and shame, I felt like I wasn't enough to be a part of a normal friendship group or a normal household, or so I felt stuck. But I knew in my mind that that's not where I wanted to be. I knew that I wanted to be sober and doing better, and I tried to do that with the people that I was around. But that, if you're hanging out with people that don't want it as bad as you do, it's going to keep fucking sucking you back in. um, and so I was alone, man. I didn't talk to anyone. And when I rocked up at mum's, I felt defeated. I seriously, I've had friends commit suicide, and suicide is a very, very touchy subject for me, because I believe in suicide prevention highly, and I I really don't like talking about it lightly, and I don't like when it gets thrown around lightly, um, and and that was probably the first time in my life that I really seriously felt like that was an option. Um, and yeah,
You
you
must
can't
have been
explain.
you must have been really close to taking that step. I mean, for you to think about it and going through these emotions, it would have been a very, very close call for you, Ezra.
Yeah, I don't think that you can explain
Absolutely
in
not.
words how empty, the emptiness that you felt. I couldn't even put it in words, brother.
I totally agree, brother. And look, there's a lot of things in life, things cannot be explained in words. There is no word that can define from the dictionary to actually just to describe a situation or the feeling of the presence that you're living in. It's one of these things, actually, I believe, is that you've got to be in it to understand it. You've got to be in it
Yes,
to understand, to know and understand what it actually feels like. And that's certainly, I'll be honest, that's certainly something that I don't know what that actually feels like, because I've never been on drugs. I've never, had the thought of committing suicide. But for you to get to where you are now, from home, being homeless, losing friends, drug addiction, weed, crime, being around maybe the wrong circle of friends in such situations. And today, fast forward today, where are you now? Let's go to the other side where it's greener. Where are you now? Like where are you heading towards to? That's the smile I want to see. That's the smile I
I
want to
love
see. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you started having me in my feels just then. I was Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. So where are we now, man?
Yeah. Like fast forward, how many years has it been? Fast forward, how many years ago was that?
Fuck, that's you know
Since a
that's
young age, how many years?
since a young. I'm 27 now, so um, I've had a lot of years, 20 years probably of just feeling
Yeah. So
really
after
fucked.
20 years of adversities from a young age 20 years of pain and struggles, being stuck, been through all walks of life, most people at this point would lose hope. Most people at this time would not change their condition.
Yeah,
They won't
and I've
change.
seen
I mean, 100%. And the reason why now I want to emphasize towards that before we actually transition to where you are at now is because how many struggling men out there are there now is that they lose complete hope. And they might not have been struggling for 20 or more years. It could only be for the last few years, 5 years, maybe 6 or 7 years. But regardless of the number, because a number is just a number, what counts is the decisions that we make, that we live by on a daily basis. Yes, for men it's difficult. Shame is difficult. Guilt is difficult. But you need to put your hand up. You need to reach out to seek support. Because if you don't, then you take a look at weigh it up, the lesser of two evils, for an instance. You always want to take the lesser of the two evils. Do you want to be out living homeless, maybe dead because of suicide, drug addiction, crime? Or do you want to go on the other side of the spectrum where you are transforming your life, where you're thriving? And this is what I want to hear from you. This is where I want you to share with the audience where you're at now after 20 friggin' bloody years. Where you're at now. Let's dig into the mission. Let's dig into the vision where where you're heading towards to right now, and how much of a change where you're at now as opposed to 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or just in the recent last maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, so man, the last month has been fucking life-changing.
Yeah.
And it was only a month ago that I rocked up at Mum's. So that all ended only a month ago. I've had times in the past where I've been good for a year or two. I still obviously had my struggles, but I was working on myself, my personal development. Mum has always been into personal development since I was young. So like her being, I was very, very lucky. I watched The Secret when I was something like 10 years old, so always kind of knew that you could manifest your own and future, and always. So I think that's one thing that always gave me hope. But to come to where I am now, man, I just had to fucking take full responsibility and accountability. Like you said, put your hand up, ask for help, admit and realize that what you were doing was wrong, which is hard as a man. It's so hard to sit there as a man and think, okay, for 20 years of my life, I've been wrong. I've been fucking everything up. I haven't done what I should be doing, but I want to make a change. I want to make a difference. I want to start doing better. And it's okay that you don't know everything. It's okay to say, it's okay to ask for help. What should I do? Where do I start? What are things that I can do to be doing the right thing, to be living the life that I so desperately fucking want? And forgiveness, I think, for me, which I actually, there's a guy here called Watane, and shout out to Wa, man. He's a fucking legend. He runs a men's group and called it Mend, and that was something that I did when I was 21 to deal with my anger, because my anger was something that was, everyone around me was always scared of me because of how much I just lost my shit when I was younger, and there was no, it was a flick of a switch and I just fucking lose my shit and destroy fucking everything around me, get into fights, get myself arrested. Like, it just,
So you are reacting based on negative emotions. You are allowing that to take control of your thoughts and mind and body and actions, behavior.
Yes, yeah. I used to just fucking fly off the handle, man. Like I said, it's kind of what I learnt, at home, my home life, as a child, watching my stepdad, whenever he'd get frustrated or angry, he'd just fucking fly off the handle. So I kind of brought that into my adult life. And when I did this men's group with WA and all those boys that were co-facilitating, they're amazing. They're an amazing group of men and really, really fucking helpful up here on the Gold Coast. So, if anyone listening, they're doing some really great shit, breath work and all that kind of stuff. So meditation, they really teach and they've got a community up here that's worth being a part of, just for beach walks and all sorts of shit. So if you're in the Gold Coast and you're looking for a community, I highly recommend, because they changed my life, man. Like they taught me forgiveness, because I spent so many years going through life so angry at everyone else. I was always angry, blaming, pissed off because my dad did this or my stepdad did this or he didn't do that. I was just angry, and everything was everyone else's fault. And when I decided to switch the mindset and release and forgive everyone and actually I thanked everyone that had ever caused any trauma and pain in my life, and forgave them. So I thanked them because the reason why I thanked them was without those experiences and without the trauma that I experienced, I wouldn't be the man that I am today, and I wouldn't be able to help other people with their stuff, because I wouldn't get it. So I'm grateful for all the negative experiences in my life, and positive. I'm really, I think that's one thing that as a guy you have to understand, that it's okay to forgive people, and you don't have to. It's so unhealthy to hold on to so much anger and constantly blame people. But I think it takes a real man to stand up and admit when you're wrong, and admit that you are in control of your own life, and it's all up to you. It's not anyone else's fault. It's not anyone else's doing, or no one else fucking picked that pipe up for me in the morning and put it in my mouth. No one else put all my money through the fucking pokies. No one else, it's all me, and every choice that I made every day led to me being completely fucked, and that was massive for me to realize. But when I put my hand up and I said, I'm wrong, what I'm doing is fucked up, and apologize to the people around me, my mum, my family, my a beautiful ex-girlfriend who we went through a lot of shit with, and she was there for me through a lot of it, and I put her through hell. I put her and my mum through fucking hell with my selfish choices. And when I stood up and apologized and took responsibility and accountability, and now I'm showing that I'm actually working on myself to change shit, it's crazy how much life can change when you just take those little steps of admitting when you need to change.
That's you've shared a lot there, and that's so powerful what you've shared. Just to take responsibility and to acknowledge your pain, to acknowledge your accountability and responsibilities is a big move, because when we play the blame game, or when we become the victim, we victimize ourselves. We never take responsibility, which really leads to not making a change in our lives, because you're always blaming the next person next to you.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of it. But the moment we begin to acknowledge our pain, acknowledge our mistakes and the pain that we are living with, we are taking responsibility on that. We are putting it at the forefront of our lives, because the honest question is that who likes to acknowledge that one person is at fault because of his own hands?
It's hard.
Is the reason is actually the reason to why we never acknowledged our mistakes, the responsibilities that we feel short from, is because I don't want to be at fault. I don't want the finger or the fingers to be pointing at me. But me pointing, using my finger against myself, that's a big move. That is entirely based on truth. There's a there's a quote. There's a quote that came to mind right now, and it goes along the lines of speak the truth even though it's against oneself. Speak the truth. Is to acknowledge the truth.
I love that.
Taking responsibility, yeah, and putting it into action. Because
Yes.
I think the moment we move away from this responsibility, and it's a responsibility, and we're accountable for that. And when we don't take that responsibility and we don't live by that, we become the victim, we become the villain, we start taking vengeance onto the world, the people around us, and change is very little to nothing. And but there's a lot that we can unpack from what you've just said right there. But I just wanted to mention that and to throw that in because I think it's very important. It's powerful. It's powerful. I mean, when we begin to take a responsibility, stop blaming the person next to you. I mean, I get it. That there are a lot of bad people around us and everything else. But if we keep pointing the finger over there, we're never going to change.
You're doing yourself an injustice.
Exactly. And we're never going to change, man. You know, it's a very very sad reality for a lot of us. I want to ask you, what's the goal? What's the mission 12 months from now? By the end of the year, where are you heading towards to?
Yeah, so my goal at the moment is just as a mental health advocate, just to start spreading awareness and
Nice.
and just allowing guys, especially from the place where I came from, allowing guys in my position, especially, know that it's okay not to be okay. It's when you come from the life that I come from, and you constantly have to act as a tough guy, or you constantly have to be something. We're all wearing masks. We've all got a story. We've all got shit going on. But especially from the life that I come from, being gangs, criminals, all sorts of fucking shit, man. No one deals with their shit because we are all masking it with something. And I just want to show all the boys, all the brothers out there, that it's okay, man. It's all right to ask for help. It's all right to start fresh and to start a new journey. You know, I would have ended up in jail or dead if I kept going the way that I was going, 100%. And that's the sad truth of a lot of people that I know. And it's never too late. I know it's comfortable to stay where you are, but I just want to encourage other guys out there to get out of your comfort zone and do something that fucking, you know, makes you scared. Do something that frightens you, because we're not all these tough guys. We're not all, you know, there's a lot of value that the world is missing out on when we're all pissing our lives away. So yeah, definitely helping people struggling with addiction, depression, mental health. That is the goal right now. Just getting people thinking, dropping little seeds in their mind. You know, like, you know, what if you changed one thing today? And one thing that changed my life, Abdul, was hearing on your podcast, just to be 1% better than yesterday. Fuck. Honestly, when I heard that, you just be 1% better than yesterday, it was like a fucking smack in the face, and I was just like, holy shit! If I just did one thing every day, that just one little thing, because you can feel so overwhelmed. And I know how many struggling men out there that just feel like you're fucking drowning. But when I heard you say that, and I was just like, holy shit, maybe if I did just do one thing for myself today, let's see where it leads. And one thing, one day, another thing the next day, and then you just start fucking, you're just like, holy shit, this feels amazing. And then you're high on life. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm fucking high on life,
Amazing.
and my mission is to help people. And it all started with just changing one thing, one small thing a day, going for a walk, making sure I drink a glass of water, being disciplined. Just making sure that I did one thing to be better than yesterday, and that's life changing, brother. So thank you.
That's it's amazing. I'm grateful. You know what I mean. Like, you know, if my voice just changes one person's life, it's an accomplishment. It's an amazing achievement for me, and that's the whole purpose of the work that I actually do for struggling men. Not only to give them a voice, but to change lives. And I've got goosebumps at the moment. I can feel it on my head. I swear to God, how grateful I am. It's like it's so rewarding, just to hear those words. In that, I am making a difference. My message, my voice, it's making a difference. In the lives of struggling men, and the mission for me continues on, and we are going to be working closely together. So this is not the end. There's
I love that.
yeah, and there's gonna be amazing things happening for you. You've got my support all the way, and this is what I love doing best. This is the mission: is to strengthen, struggling men, from adversities to true resilience. What it means to be a resilient man out there, and the future is bright. I can't wait, and
Thank you.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now we have your back at the Resilience Project. We have your back, and we're going to provide all the support that you actually need moving forward. And is there anything that you want to share, Ezra? Any last thoughts, words, anything that you want to share?
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate all of that, man. That's awesome. Yeah, just having you backing me, and having this opportunity has been life changing. And I would like people to know that are listening that a month ago I was fucked. A month ago I had no hope. I was helpless, and look at where I am now. In a month later, I've started my own business. I'm building a brand. I'm helping men every day. I'm in the works of a podcast. There's just countless shit that I'm working on, and it's only taken me a month, man. So your whole life can change so quickly. Just I beg you to take the steps. If you're struggling, and if you're dealing with depression, if you feel like you're drowning, if you're burnt out, I beg you, please, just take the steps, just small baby steps. Change one thing today, and I promise you, I'll be there for you. Reach out to myself, reach out to Abdul, and I promise you, life will get better. Life gets better, and life is so worth living. Just it's not the end. So.
It is. It's never the end. Powerful, and it's never the end. It's never the end. So as long you're breathing, so as long you wake up every single morning, it's another chance, man, to thrive, another chance to make things better, another chance to improve. And believe me, change is always the goal, to improve oneself, to reinvent oneself for the better. And as he said before, 1% better every single day. For those who are listening, 1%, that's it. better every single day. Focus on one or two things at a time. That's it. Believe me, in 365 days, which is an entire year, that is actually 365% improvement, reinvention, a new skill, a new you, a new person, a person of resilience. Yeah, in 365 days. That's all it takes. Might feel like very minute on the scales, but believe me, it's actually heavy. It's heavy, and it's actually an investment into yourself, investing in yourself, in your future. And there's so much more that I know we can touch on. But before we end the podcast, if guys who are listening who want to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you? Instagram, social media platforms that you may have.
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is easy underscore mental wellness, and that's where you can reach out and find all my content that I've been
Amazing.
posting, all my tips and stuff like that. Otherwise, Facebook, Ezra Ryan, give me a message.
Amazing. We'll have that in the captions below. And for anyone out there who really wants to get in touch with you, to learn more about you, that can have instant access to you. You're doing amazing work, Ezra. Keep going. Yeah, 1% better every day. Thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing more of you on the podcast, on the Resilience Project, guys. This is amazing, and I can't wait to share more with you. And we will see you on the next episode on the Resilience Project podcast.
Thank you for having me, Abdul, brother. Appreciate
You're very welcome. See you soon.
See you soon, brother.